All right, man, talk to y'all. 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock show, man. You know what it is. Hey, man, listen, man. We back in here. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about Pusha T, man. Pusha T finally breaks his silence on Drake. And, yeah, so it's a little bit deeper than the actual conversation that I seen with Pusha T. So I want y'all to check this video out. Before I get into that, you know, I got to get my spill. This is Torture Talk. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. If you're new here, let me work for your subscription today. All the beautiful, single, sexy ladies, put one in the chat. All the fellas, y'all want to find the ones that just don't harass them. I don't sell no merch, but I do have content absolutely free. But if you want to leave a donation, links is in the description. Cash App, no more PayPal. They call me the Hidden Gem. I went from 1,300 subscribers to over 13,000. And I am the king of the North. Let me know what kingdom you from. So let's get to it and let's do it. All right, so let's get to it. Let's do it.
So I'm guessing you guys were probably all surprised when Drake dropped that bombshell of a petition against his record label UMG, claiming that they were defaming his character by promoting Kendrick's diss track Not Like Us. However, the thing that surprised me the most was not that Drake was suing over Kendrick's diss track, but instead I wondered, why didn't he do the same thing 7 years ago when Pusha T absolutely clobbered him by exposing his child with the story of Adidon? I mean, it would have made a lot more sense to sue back then. I mean, the album artwork alone was enough for a lawsuit by Drake standards. He's wearing blackface with massive clown lips. He's rocking a smile bigger than the one he sported when he saw that A minor on stage. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. And this is all alleged. All right, Drake, don't come and sue me. But I realized he never ended up suing Pusha T because he actually got the very same record label that he's currently filing petitions against, UMG, to take down the story of Adidon off of YouTube. So he was pulling these stunts back then. And I think Pusha T actually takes the crown for being the biggest Drake hater on the planet. I mean, he definitely hates Drake more than Kendrick does.
I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say that, but I'm not going to sit here and say I think Pusha T is the bigger hater. I think Drake actually, I don't know. That's a good one. That's a good one. I will say I think Kendrick probably don't like Drake more than Pusha T. I think Pusha T, I'm not going to say he hates Drake. I just think that he more despises him, but I don't think he hates him. But I definitely think Kendrick probably hates Drake. I really do. I think he really does.
He wasn't even allowed in the same studio as Drake way before they had a rap battle. Pusha says that he had to go to Wyoming to record with Kanye, specifically on separate days that Drake was there, and he was the only one not allowed in the sessions when Drake was there.
I can't be in the studio when Drake's there. I can't. I'm not allowed. When they go to Wyoming, I'm there from the 1st to the 7th. Next thing I hear, on the 8th, bang! Drake here and he there for these many days. I don't know this. I'm not allowed. Everybody else can be there. I can't, because I don't play neutral. You don't get to my homeboys and so on and so forth. It's not happening.
But I feel like Kanye should be taking that same stance.
That's a good point. Yeah, I never understood that. Well, I guess Pusha kind of like explained that he don't want to be in the studio with somebody that is actually faking. You know what I'm saying? Like faking like a Jamaican. But I guess I can understand that. I can understand that. Pusha from the streets, he a real one, so I understand exactly what he mean by that.
But he don't do that. Like, everybody not built like me, bro.
And aside from hating Drake more than anyone in the world, I don't think anyone is more proud of Kendrick in the world than Pusha T. I mean, Kendrick really took that baton from Pusha T and finished off the spectacle of stomping on Drake's grave, all off the heels.
Yo, you know what's so crazy? Pusha T and Kendrick look like they could be brothers. Yo, they really do. They look like they could be cousins or brothers. They look like they could be related. Like, especially when Kendrick had the braids like Pusha T. They definitely do look like they could be related.
Of the allegations.
Do you want to watch me?
And issues that Pusha T started. I mean, he referenced Pusha T several times throughout his diss tracks, and Pusha T actually finally just spoke on this beef, so we're going to touch on that shortly. But I just wanted to mention again, I don't think anyone in the world loves Kendrick more than Pusha T and hates Drake more than Pusha T. I mean, Kendrick rapped that Nas was the only one who congratulated him about the Super Bowl halftime show, but Pusha T was giving Kendrick his flowers way before then. He was liking tweets about Not Like Us being Song of the Summer. He responded to a user on Twitter who said, "I just want to point out that after all these years of mob talk from Drake, nobody ever laid a finger on Pusha T," and Pusha T said, "Not even a pinky nail," and this was even before Kendrick dropped Euphoria. Then when Kendrick announced his Stadium GNX tour with SZA, Pusha T commented under it with muscle emojis, and now Pusha T has finally spoken about this beef. And what did he say? Well, he actually said that Drake won. Yeah, Drake won 2 back-to-back butt whippings from both Pusha T himself and from Kendrick. And if you guys recall on Euphoria, Kendrick made 2 references to Pusha T. One was the nod to Pusha T's classic bar against Drake where he said, "You're signed to one guy that's signed to another guy that's signed to 3 guys, that's bad luck." That was in reference to Drake obviously being signed to Lil Wayne, who's signed to Birdman, who's signed to UMG, who Drake is now attempting to sue, or allegedly attempting to sue. Don't sue me. But yeah, Kendrick said, Drake, you want to speak on contracts, you want to say that, Top Dog is taking 50% of my royalties. Let's talk about your situation. You're signed to one guy who's signed to another guy who said he was signed to that guy. And then he referenced Pusha T again when he said, "I don't like you popping stuff at Pharrell. For him, I inherit the beef because Drake purchased Pharrell's jewelry in an auction and then was flexing it in music videos." And Kendrick then says, "Yeah, F all that pushing P, like pushing Pharrell. Let me see you push a T. Let me see you go back and actually address the guy who was signed to Pharrell, the guy who..."
It's crazy how that line, where he said, "Let me see you," said he pushing P, let me see you push T, because he said something about Gunna before that, and he connected that whole thing. Like, that was fire. That was real fire. But no, I understand what he's saying here. And I think that it's very important that we understand that they have a common enemy in Drake, but they also worked together before. That song they did was classic. But they have a common enemy in Drake. You know what I'm saying? And I think that they don't really rock with him like that. And I think that dark skin niggas is back, but no, I'm joking. But I think that you got to understand there's reasons why Pusha T really don't like Drake. But I don't think he hate him. I think Kendrick really, really, really hates Drake. Really does. I mean, I might think that today, but tomorrow I might think something different, because sometimes when you listen to Kendrick, he come off like he hates you, but then, or hates certain people, but then he really don't. So who knows?
Who started all your issues with that camp because you never actually finalized your beef with him. And Pusha T emphasized that in a recent interview by saying, "Yeah, you should come double back at me before you even think of going against someone like Kendrick."
Euphoria, Kendrick says, "Pusha P, how about you Pusha T?"
Right.
What does that mean to you to have Ken? Go ahead.
Yes, he was just telling them, like, he needed to address me before he, comes back and trying to go at him.
And then the interviewer kind of implies
That's because if you think about it, he acknowledged that he lost to Pusha T, but he was still taking shots at Pusha T. But he definitely acknowledged that he lost to Pusha T. Yeah, it said, "Yeah, he got me." But he was saying that he had another joint coming at Pusha T, and then Jay Prince stopped him from putting it out. He said, "You don't need to be doing this and that." But I always ask myself, why did Jay Prince stop him from putting that diss track out? But Jay Prince didn't do anything when he battled Kendrick. That's the question I have for a lot of y'all. Maybe some of y'all could give me your thoughts in the comments. Why did Jay Prince stop him from releasing a diss track on him, but then Jay Prince didn't stop him from going back and forth with Kendrick? Like, why is that? I mean, basically, Jay Prince kind of let him get smoked. You know what I'm saying? So why y'all think that is? Well, let's keep it going.
That Kendrick was glazing Pusha T by asking Pusha, like, how does it feel to you that Kendrick was telling Drake, like, you can't even push a T, you can't go there? And Pusha just emphasized that Kendrick, like him, is just a fan of hip-hop and saw the battle as part of the sport and participated in it as a love for the sport.
So what does that mean to you to have Kendrick Lamar, who doesn't seem to glaze anything, and he's invoking you as the gold standard, like, you can't push Pusha T, you can't even go there?
I think it was a great time for me. That whole battle was an awesome time. And I think that him being a fan of hip-hop, he saw it as that. Well, I know he did. Like, that's my guy.
And what's
The one plugin that is the cool.
What's interesting is Pusha T says that both him and Kendrick represent the pureness of hip-hop. Their intentions are pure, what they stand for is pure, what they bring to the game is genuine and authentic, and they want to leave behind a legacy and influence that positively uplifts the culture, but it's usually not the ones with the purest intentions that actually take home the trophy. So Pusha T kind of finds it funny that in the end, he won the court of public opinion with the story of Adidon.
He knows where we stand in like the pureness of this rap shit. And sometimes it's surprising how the world takes to things. The guy who's the purest, they're usually never the guys who, get to hold a trophy at the end. Adidon was just one of those times.
Pusha's then asked if he thinks Kendrick won the battle, and this is what he had to say.
Do you agree with the people that Kendrick won the battle?
1,000%.
Now, as far as why he won the battle, Pusha T attributes it to a similar reason why he won his own battle with Drake, and that's because Kendrick talks directly to your soul, especially with Euphoria. Like, before Drake started throwing out allegations about abuse or infidelity, or taking this battle in a direction of it just being a bunch of TMZ gossip headlines, he was talking directly to Drake's soul with bars like, "Them superpowers get neutralized, I can only watch in silence," "The famous actor we once knew is looking paranoid and spiraling," or "Why would I try to run around and get dirt on guys, you thinking my life is rap? Never mind that, I got a son to raise, but I could see you don't know nothing about that." And Pusha T saying, like, beyond any allegation that Kendrick could throw, the truth above all else is going to run deep, and he was talking directly to Drake's soul, and that's what won him that unanimous victory from the public when this was all said and done.
Kendrick is a lyricist, and a lyricist that talks to your soul. You can be clever, you can say cute things, you can do things in cadences, but the truth really hurts. And
nobody's going to be on the job, just headphones.
And the truth like cuts deep. And I think what Kendrick was doing was really talking to his soul. I believe that. And I believe that.
I agree with that. I agree that Kendrick was talking to Drake's soul. I think that a lot of things that Kendrick said in this battle, it really affected Drake, and it's affecting him. I think it's one of those things where it's going to continue to affect Drake for the rest of his career. I think that Drake, I was talking to one of my friends about this, and I said to him, I think Drake is really, really going through something, and we don't know. And I hope that nothing happens, because he is really, really going through something. And I want y'all to understand, what Kendrick did to Drake, you have to be a really strong person to deal with something like that. Because although I don't really have a problem with what Kendrick said in the battle, I do understand that being called that, and everybody's calling you that, that has to take a toll on you mentally. It really does. So let's keep it going.
That'll cause you to tap out. That'll cause you to sue. That'll cause you to do a lot of things. It's crazy. Listen.
And I think it's interesting that Pusha T brings up, Kendrick talking directly to Drake's soul, because that's exactly the same approach that Pusha took with the story of Adidon. If you guys don't remember, beyond just exposing Drake's child, Pusha T starts off the record by saying, drug dealing aside, ghostwriting aside, let's have a heart-to-heart about your pride. Beyond, any of the elements that might add a stain to our legacy in terms of our careers as rappers, Pusha, always talking about white powder, but, potentially not being as involved in distributing it as he makes it seem in his raps. And then Drake obviously having all those ghostwriter allegations. Beyond all of that, let's actually talk about your upbringing, your family issues, why you are the way you are. He raps, even though you're multi, I could see that your soul doesn't look alive. And then he talks about how Drake parades his father, even though his father had left him early on as a child, and how his mother never knew what true love was like through marriage, because she never had a happy marriage of her own. And it's really interesting to see how Pusha T, took a step back, psychoanalyzed this whole situation, really dissected Drake's character to approach the craft behind the story of Adidon. This is what he had to say about, crafting that song.
I like, what's your family like? Oh, your dad left you at 5. Oh, I get that. He never walked you to the bus stop. You're mad about this. Your mom, she never remarried. You don't even know what like family is, so of course you don't dig marriage. I get the picture, the photo that I used of the blackface. Right. This was done in 08. You don't even know that that's not right. There's no explanation for that to me. You gotta think about who a person really, really is, and it's like, okay, bang, that's why it's okay for you to take a photo like this. You didn't even know it was right. You don't know where you stand at. Oh, that's why you highlight your dad clowning like that. You run to the Memphis. Oh, I'm Memphis, Houston. That's my black side.
And it's funny because obviously Drake never responded.
Yeah, that cut deep. I will say that Drake is the only artist I know that gets a lot of passes on a lot of stuff. People don't have a problem with him doing blackface. And I know some people say, well, he's half black, so he can do that. But that's a slippery slope. You doing blackface is something that I think even some black people doing blackface is kind of weird to me. But because it's not about, I don't really want to go all into that. But let's just say Drake doing blackface isn't a good thing. That wasn't a good thing. And him putting that out there, like, it's crazy how he put the blackface cover out there, but it wasn't even about him in blackface. But that was very classic, very classic.
To that record, but that was enough to forever leave a stain on Drake's legacy, especially in the eyes of hip-hop fans, and it was enough for Pusha T to feel like he never needed to respond to Drake again. Drake would continue to throw sneak disses at Pusha T, especially on a song called Churchill Downs, but Pusha T said in an interview, like, these were the same recycled flows, the same recycled bars. There was nothing new, and Drake backed out of that beef publicly, so why should Pusha T continue going at him? And that's what Kendrick is pretty much saying here, like, stop distracting the public and trying to, redirect this beef at Kanye or Pharrell. Direct this at Pusha T. And aside from Pusha T, there were some other very respectable figures within hip-hop that have spoken on this beef in the last few days, most notably 50 Cent, who has seemed to have actually surprisingly taken Drake's side. It's unconfirmed, but it seems like they might have some sort of TV production in the works, which would make sense as to why 50 Cent is doing so much coping for Drake. But it's interesting what he said. So this has been something he's repeated several times throughout this beef, but basically he emphasized that, Drake has been at the top for so long that now it's not just fans that are kind of sick of him, but it's also artists that are looking at him like, this guy has to go. We need to make room for that top spot so, maybe these other artists can get there, or commercial hip hop doesn't become.
And I disagree with that. I don't think that the artist stopped messing with Drake because he was always number one. Maybe some, but not all of them. I think a lot of artists stopped messing with Drake because they just got tired of him just doing them dirty and certain things that he was doing behind people's back. And he's like, well, how we let this goofball come in here and just walk all over everybody and say certain things that I just don't think that people just didn't agree with the way he carried himself. I think that's the reason why.
This sort of monopoly where Drake is just at the top, and that's why everyone in the industry has been championing Kendrick so hard.
No, I think it's a point where you win repeatedly to the audience, and even the artist community is going, if you win again, how am I have my chance to win? So they would rather see Kendrick in that slot. Drake, you get out of here.
Now, he also spoke on Drake's petition against UMG that might turn into a lawsuit, and 50 is saying that they are actually guilty of what Drake is accusing them of. They are guilty of over promoting songs that are destroying another one of their artists' reputations, and that this is all a calculated attack.
Looking for something faster than you ready for
attack to get Drake out of that top position. He said that he went through the same thing with Interscope Records when the Game had his whole GU Not campaign, while 50 Cent was obviously running his G Unit record label, and it was all under the umbrella of Interscope Records. They were promoting both the GU Not campaign while simultaneously promoting 50 Cent and his G Unit record label.
What he's saying, the system's done, they done it. They're guilty of what he said they did. Like where I'm at Interscope, they are G Unit and GU Not at the same time. On the same system, big. The same person delivering the record telling you to play 50 Cent is delivering the record saying play games. They're looking at it like his business is selling the record. But everything that they said that he did, that they did for Kendrick, is something they did for him.
And speaking of Pusha T, 50 Cent even touches on...
I said that in the last video, other video. Sure, y'all go check that out. Yeah, man. No matter what happens, Drake can't complain because they do the same thing for you, homeboy. The same thing for you. You can't complain. You can't say, oh, they do it for me, for him and not for me. No, they do it for you. They've been doing it for you more than anybody, actually. It's crazy.
Him slightly when he speaks about the advice that he gave Drake after this whole battle with Kendrick. And he said it was the same advice that he gave to him after the Pusha T beef, where he told Drake, you know, everyone's saying you lost to Pusha T, but what did you really lose? You know, you're still at number one. You still have number one records. You still have a massive fan base. So, yeah, you might have lost a rap battle, but like in retrospect, what did you actually lose?
I said, they said you lost to Pusha T. So what did you lose? And he said, nothing. I said, so I don't understand. You see what I'm saying? Like whenever you say you lost something, he said, what exactly did you lose? If you take a step back, there's nothing lost.
And in my opinion, the best point that 50 Cent made, which was something I've been kind of emphasizing too, is that, you know, when we saw 200,000 people in the queue in Australia waiting for Drake tickets, a lot of people were saying, you know, like, oh, look, Drake didn't fall off. 200,000 people are still waiting to see him live in Australia. And it's like, yes, people obviously still love Drake. He obviously still will have a fan base, mainly because of the massive success of his back catalog. Love him or hate him, you can't deny that he did give us classics way early on in his career. He's given us massive albums, singles for almost, 2 decades now. And regardless of, how much Kendrick tore apart his character and how awful his character might look, no matter how much people chant not like us, there's always going to be a sector of people who will still listen to Drake forever. And because he's generated such a massive fan base over the past 2 decades, it's not just going to be a small crop of people who will always listen to Drake like they did with Ja Rule. He's always going to have a massive following no matter what happens, no matter what rapper says anything about him. People aren't...
I mean, I don't know about that. I think that hip hop is a genre that people will fall eventually because hip hop isn't a genre that keeps their fan base around as much as rock music, I would say. Like if you go to, let's say, a Kiss concert, it's going to sell out because their fans tend to stay around. I think hip hop fans, when they don't get their way, they tend to move on or they don't listen to it no more. When it comes to Drake, I think that he is going to have a sizable amount of fans, but at the same time, that depends on where you're located at, because in America, I think he definitely took a hit to his fan base. Maybe all around the world, maybe that's something different, but here, yeah, he definitely took a hit to his fan base.
Gonna forget about that back catalog of classics that Drake gave us early in his career. That won't change if Kendrick wins a million battles against Drake.
There's nobody who's just a Drake fan that won't go out to see his show right now. So it's just to be active. You get out there, do your thing.
And 50 Cent went into more detail about his thoughts on the whole lawsuit thing with UMG. He was saying that he thought Drake filed that to combat the whole...
But honestly, this isn't about Drake losing his popularity, though. I don't think that that's the case. I think Drake wants to be number one. Even, how would I say this? Drake want to be number one, but the problem is he lost to Kendrick. So even if he's number one and everything else, in his head, he's still not number one because he hasn't beat Kendrick. That's all I think Drake cares about at this point in his career, because everything else is going to fall into place for him. Like all the old stuff that he got going on, that's cool. But as far as him going against Kendrick is what he cares about. Kendrick beat him. He needs to find a way to beat Kendrick. And Kendrick is outsmarting him every step of the way. So what he want to do, I want to buy all the floor seats. I don't know, allegedly he did that. I don't know if he actually did that, but I want to buy all the floor seats. If I buy all the floor seats, then this way it'll look like nobody's there. But Kendrick's like, you know what? I'm going to give them away for free. And I think that he hasn't figured out how to beat Kendrick. He hasn't. And that's bothering him.
Super Bowl because, by Kendrick performing Not Like Us at the Super Bowl, it makes the song exciting again. It gives it legs to stretch on and have success for years to come, and it gives it many more eyeballs because he'll be performing it in front of, over 100 million different people. So in order to stop that from happening, Drake is effectively filing
Hello, let me tell you about my new obsession teams.
This lawsuit or petition to avoid the song from becoming a bigger success than it is.
We hit a spot where business is so present that he looked at it and said, well, that's defamation of character because it's not true. All right, and I'm like, you know how many false statements were in battle records?
What did you feel about the lawsuit?
I thought it was to combat
the Super Bowl?
Yeah, because that would reignite it or the song would make it exciting, make it go up again.
And months down the line, too.
Yeah, but the suit itself, I don't think you think about it, but when the lawsuit comes out, it ignites the record. It goes up. I didn't realize Kendrick album was coming right when that lawsuit fell, and it was like, shh.
But it's interesting to note that 50 Cent does acknowledge here that, the same promotional tactics that UMG probably used to help Not Like Us gain popularity, I've said this before, they probably use the exact same strategies to promote Drake's tracks Family Matters and Push-Ups. It just worked better with Kendrick because more people wanted to listen to Not Like Us. It was a better record. I mean, it's not just a better record, it's a classic. Like, this is something people are going to play for years to come. It's an anthem. And another OG, Fat Joe, even emphasized this himself, saying that Not Like Us is a record like Lean Back or In the Club, like that whole They Not Like Us, like that's going to be sung by millions of fans for dozens of years to come.
I don't think Not Like Us is like those records. I mean, club-wise, I'm just gonna say maybe. I guess maybe if they got a point. But for me, I think it's much more bigger than those records. Even in the club, I think Not Like Us is. Those records are club records. Not Like Us is more of a. It's more of a. I'm not gonna say anthem, but it's more of a historical. It's a culture record. That's what I would say. A culture club record, if you want to use the club term, but let's keep it going.
That song is not going to go away. That's a generational anthem.
They Not Like Us is a lean back. It is Coach Shorty. Yeah. You got to deal with that record for the next 50 years. There's no way around it. When that shit bam, 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 I said, oh my God, this guy, he done made it hit.
Yeah, man.
No. That's it. You can find me in the club like They Not Like Us. That's forever.
And I do think it's funny that he says now that Not Like Us is a generational anthem because before Kendrick even dropped Euphoria, Fat Joe was saying that it doesn't take 3 to 4 weeks to drop a diss track, and he thought that Kendrick was going to tap out of the beef after Drake dropped Tailor Made and Push-Ups.
I don't know. I don't think Kendrick's cooking up. It don't take him 3-4 weeks to I think that's over. It don't take 3 or 4 weeks. Then the Tupac family want to sue Drake. I thought it was creative, using the AI Tupac and then pushing the envelope. But, I got no horse in this game. I wish they would all get along.
And this kind of reminds me of Snoop Dogg's reaction to Tailor Made too. He posted it and showed it love, even though Drake was, not necessarily mocking him, but using his voice through AI and rapping from his perspective, which a lot of people deem to be, disrespectful. And Kendrick obviously referenced Snoop Dogg in Whacked Out Murals, saying that Snoop posted Tailor Made, I prayed it was the edibles. And Snoop Dogg showed him love, saying he was the king of the West Coast, and that, it was the edibles. So it seems like a lot of even these OG rappers who showed Drake a lot of love early on in the beef are kind of walking it back and being forced to admit that, Kendrick definitely did his thing. Even Drake's right-hand producer, Boy Wonder. If you guys don't know who Boy Wonder is, he's produced all of Drake's early hits. Like, there's records from 2007 where Drake was shouting out Boy Wonder. He's done all the Drake classics. He's one of the greatest producers, definitely, of this generation. Even when Not Like Us, he DM'd DJ Mustard saying that he loved the beat. And this is like Drake's right-hand guy. So for him to be showing love to the record speaks volumes to how good of a record it actually is and the impact that it will have for generations to come. But let me know what you guys think. Is Not Like Us played out, or will you be playing it in 15 years from now? Do you agree with...
All right, so I'm ended there. I notice how everybody says that about Kendrick records. Like, they said that about I Love Myself. They said that about Not Like Us. It's always, when it comes to Kendrick, is this record played out? But nobody says this about Drake. Like, I never understood that. But either way, I definitely think that going back to the Pusha T thing, I definitely think that Pusha T doesn't like Drake, but I think Kendrick really hates Drake and hates him to the point where I think he felt like it could have been just regular, but once you start talking about that man family and then saying like insinuating that he beat on his wife or his girlfriend and his friend is his baby dad's his wife's son's mom or son's father, yeah, I just think that Kendrick ain't had that. That was it for him. You know what I'm saying? Why you had to stoop so low to discredit some decent people? Like, I guess that's what you have to do when the metaphors don't reach you. Like, so it's true, man. But either way, man, thank y'all for joining me. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all. I might be doing another giveaway on Friday, so I'll let y'all know. All right, man, I'm out of here. See y'all. Peace. Bye. 6 o'clock show coming up. See y'all.